Okay, live on YouTube. Good evening, YouTube. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Live on IG. Good evening, IG. Okay, last but not least, let's see, get this live going. Okay, we're live here. Excellent. Let's go create broadcast. And okay, we should be live on X. Hang on. Post. Let me make a post. Okay, top post on X. We are live on X. www.x.com. Okay, top post. Let me pin that. Okay, excellent. See you on the show. See you in about 5 minutes.
Time alone when I am perfectly willing to give her everything she needs. I don't care about her past. I don't care what she's been through. I just wanna feel one night with good love, baby. That's all I wanna do. So baby, if you got that feeling, well, I wanna give you that midnight healing. You know what I'm talking about, yeah. Just turn the lights down low. Come right on over here to me. I know you don't want no commitments, baby. I just wanna set your body free. And I don't care what's going on in the night outside my door. I just wanna get your head right, baby. Give you all the love I got for sure. So baby, if you've got that feeling, you know I wanna give you that midnight healing. Oh, I just wanna make love to you all night long. Midnight healing, baby. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Okay, check. Check one, check two. What's up, y'all? What's good, everyone? Welcome to the show. All right. Check. Very good. Very good. Let me just make sure audio is good. Okay. Facebook. All right, there we go. Okay, audio is good. Everything's good. All right, very good. All right, welcome to the show, y'all. We got all 5 streams running here. Yeah, we're live. Okay. I think we got all. Just give me 1 second. Let me make sure we got all the streams running. Yeah, okay. Everything's running. All right, very good. All right, very good. We're running. Okay. What's good, y'all? What's up? Welcome to the show, y'all. Welcome back to HOP. Hope everybody had a good weekend. I just want to say a brief thank you to everybody who sent birthday wishes. Thank you very much. I appreciate it very much. Tonight's show. I've had a chance to meet this lovely lady at NFT NYC. I don't know much about her, but I tell you this, her pocketbook caught my attention and stood out to me. 1, 2, 3. So something catches my eye. I asked her if she wanted to come on the show. She said yes, and the rest is history. So we have her. So let's bring her up. I don't want to waste too much time. Let's say hello.
Hello.
Hang on, Trish. I got you there. All right. And then give me 1 second. Hang on. Double screw. Okay, good. Got you there. All right, Trish. Trish, say hello to everybody.
Hi.
All right, and welcome to HOP. I'm curious. I always like to dive into there's this little pocketbook that caught my attention, and you're like, oh, my NFT's on it. And I'm like, really? And
You mean this one?
yeah, that's it. Which I thought. Let me see the other one. Oh, you got two. No, it was the purple one actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said that is. I don't know what it was about that, but caught my eye. And then I asked you if you wanted to come on the show. So we're gonna start the show off with the way we generally start the show off. Pretty generic question. Why don't you take a few minutes to introduce yourself to everybody? Let everybody know a little bit about who you are, a little bit about your art background, and then we'll just kind of go from there. So why don't you take it from there, Trish?
Well, thank you, Marc, for having me on your show. And I just had a birthday too, so happy birthday.
When was your birthday?
December 1st.
Oh, all right. It's December 5th, so happy birthday.
Sag, yay. I knew I liked you for a reason.
Sages are good signs.
Yes, exactly. Well, I'm an immersive artist. I've been doing digital art for a very long time. And you met me at NFT NYC. So that's, I've been doing NFT NYC since 2021. And there's my piece on the Jumbotron from June. I actually had 2 works on the Jumbotron. So that was pretty exciting. Besides my fine art, I'm also a professor at St. Peter's University, full-time faculty there, running the art department. Let's see. So I love to do physical art, mixing it with digital art. I like to create interactive experiences with my art, whether it's something you walk through to have an interactive experience. I have a master's degree in computer art installation. where I studied at School of Visual Arts in New York City. And so that's where I first got my interest in interactive art. I love working with computers, but I also love working with physical art, painting, sculpture. When I do sculpture, I do raku, which is a Japanese firing process that's a very high heat with a super quick low reduction. And then I'll mix my augmented reality with my sculptures and my paintings as well. And I've been doing NFTs for a long time as well, since about 2021. Well, was it 2020? Yeah, it was 2021 March. And I have my pieces minted on OpenSea, Rarible, Foundation, and I also use the Fine Arts Ledger with their NFC technology, where you have the chip. I attach the chip to the artwork, and you tap it, and you get the certificate of authenticity through that as well.
What let me now I'm going to get distracted. What is that all about that you just took that chip? Is that acting in terms of like you have a physical and then you scan it and it connects itself to the blockchain through a chip, and then the chip becomes the COA? Is that correct?
Yes, it's the Fine Arts Ledger uses the NFC chip, near frequency chip technology, and the artworks get minted on Polygon. When I sell my artwork, I sell it for the art, and then you get the NFT as the certificate of ownership, and it has all the history of the art as well. If I want to upload photos or videos or the QR codes for the augmented reality experience. And I can also, when I transfer the art to the person who purchased the piece, I can maintain whatever percentage I want for royalties.
That's interesting. Now, we're gonna get so off track on this show right now. Yeah. So, how does it when someone sells it, how are they responsible for transferring the NFT as well?
That does become kind of like the honor system there.
Okay.
It
I thought
definitely is.
maybe somebody solved the Rubik's cube. That's why I
Yeah.
had. All right. Okay. So
It's definitely the honor system there.
okay, I got it. All right. I thought maybe I was going to ask a question and something was going to wow me, but yeah, I've been hearing a lot about this, and that's why I got. It's just like an immediate detour, because I think Transient Labs offers that ability as well. They have something called shit. I forgot. They have a name for Trace. I think it's called Trace. And so you can do it. What does the NFT look like? Is it the same version, or is it like, does it look like a certificate of authenticity?
It has the digital asset that you upload for representation. I can upload a USDZ. I can upload, all the history. I upload a certificate, but then it generates the information from the blockchain as well.
Does it look exactly like the work of art does it somehow make it look like a certificate?
Oh no, it's the actual. It's like a mini web page of the entire piece of artwork.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I want to check that out. Hopefully, I'll be able to look at it later. I did sign up, but okay. Let's get back to focus, because that's been on my mind lately, and I was curious because I've been hearing a few places do it, but I haven't really been part of it. Okay. Where were we? All right. So. All right. I wouldn't know this if I didn't skim through your IG, but it looks like you do a lot of different things. And so I guess the best way to kind of understand how you got here is I always ask, baby Trish, little Trish, right? When you grew up, was art always prevalent in your life, or like, did you have artists in your family? Like, how'd the artist happen?
Well, you could say I was raised in a gallery. My mother ran art galleries in New York. And when I was just a little, I guess I was between 3 and 4, she would sit me in the back room with a canvas and oil paints and brushes. I did my first oil when I was 4. So, and all my babysitters were artists. You know, there would be those crazy art parties, and there'd be the little kids running around. I was like one of the little kids running around.
What
So,
what's that like growing up with like that's a little. I had a grandmother, she, but wasn't a it was she didn't run a art gallery. She ran she, she ran a tombstone headstone. Am I saying it right?
yeah,
Yeah. So little different, but used to go to grandma.
engraving.
Yeah, you know, for cemeteries, she used to
Oh,
sell.
yeah.
She used to sell the headstones, which is a little different than growing up with a gallery. But what's you know, I used to love going with her, but I mean that's because I would get to walk to the comic book store. But what's it like growing up in a gallery? I mean, being surrounded by art all the time has got to be pretty. I mean, what was it like a time that you can enjoy and appreciate, even though being young? I mean, but was you know, I'm just curious.
I actually would give guided tours as long as I got my lollipop
Oh,
and the Tootsie Roll kind, very specific. And I would show people my favorite artworks. I wasn't a fan of clowns. They had a whole clown room, and I would avoid that room. But there was definitely artists that I liked and admired their work. And when I got to meet the artists, that was exciting too, because I could tell them how much I liked their work. Um, but I guess I was always around adults too, as a young child in this art world, art scene. So I wasn't like the typical kid who went to daycare or babysitters. I was in my mom's place of business.
Was now did that transition to? I mean, so did you carry the art thing through school? Did you attend school? Well, you ever art classes? I mean, did you? Some people carry it with them. Some people like lose it and kind of
No,
like.
it was,
Go ahead.
yeah, it was part of my entire life. You know, a mother, single parent, 4 kids, you know, had to make the ends meet. We would paint on everything from rocks to eggs. We'd blow the yolk out of eggs, and we would go around selling the artwork. My mom would paint these paintings, and we'd go around selling them. Um, so we would always be working on mural projects. I worked on my first mural when I was 7, and it was Snoopy. Um, so it's been ingrained in me pretty much. And I actually tried to. I have a son who's going to Micah right now, and I tried to do the same thing with him. He a painter studying to be a muralist and a painter too. So I passed it down.
What did so now most people, you know, most kids don't want to hang out with their parents, but I got to imagine that, you know, getting on the painting pretty soon. What about high school, college? Did the painting continue or did
Oh,
it
yeah, for
okay,
sure.
okay, go ahead. I'll let
I
you
did.
take it.
I actually did murals in the boys' basketball locker room for the mascot. That was kind of scary. I was there with my girlfriend by ourselves, and the lights got turned out while we were painting the mural. Luckily, we had a flashlight and we could turn the light back on. And I did a few other murals for the high school. I worked on. I was the art girl, you know, and I got called in for all the art projects. I was always
You were the
art
banner
shows.
maker.
The what?
You were the banner maker.
Yeah, right. And they gave us toxic paint always. Whenever we painted something, it was like, what is this, car paint?
What it's just so murals. This is what I was curious about. So how do you the perspective of a mural? How does that? I have a projector, and anything that I ever done, I would just project. Whether it was I was exploding it to get the right proportion, but how do you? I'd say I would even. You know what? I even did a mural in here for an actual company, but I used what I did was I would set my projector up on a very tall ladder, and then I would basically move it around to the right perspective until I had it perfect on the wall. I would trace it on the wall. But what it comes to doing real life murals, and there's no projectors involved. What how do you get how do you know? Yeah, how do you figure that out?
I never used projectors. I never used any kind of tracing system or grids or anything. I just would freehand draw it and just start painting. I even did a restaurant with dome booths. That was when I was in college. I just kind of would just jump in and do it. Whereas my son, he likes to use the Banksy style, and he prints out his pieces and then cuts it out and use it as a stencil, which I thought was really ingenious, because we did a mural this summer at Juneteenth in Liberty State Park, and it was really exciting to be there. It was a beautiful event. A lot of old school muralists were there, and my son was the youngest muralist there, which I was very proud of him. Trish Gianakis. So keep that name in mind for the next interview.
Okay. All right. Now, Trish, when you say mural, what I mean, what is the definition of a mural, or what can it consist of? It could be pretty much anything, right?
Yeah, as long as you're painting on whether it's indoor or outdoor structure that takes up a whole wall. So, I mean, most murals are about 4 feet by 5 feet if they're small, but they can go up to, like in Jersey City, you see skyscrapers, 20-story buildings with murals. We also did some other murals in Jersey City together. So it's funny that we're talking about murals, because a lot of people don't know I do murals. It's funny that we're actually talking about it.
Okay. Some of the coolest murals I've ever seen was I think I went to Montreal. Montreal is a big art scene in the city. And then every year 20 artists paint 20 different buildings, pretty big buildings, pretty big murals. Some of them.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Even in the city, you see some pretty big pieces, especially down on, I think it's Houston. If you take Houston all the way across into the village, they always got that one building there that they always have a pretty cool. They paint it differently all the time. I don't know the exact street. I think it's Houston, and I don't know why I want to say Broadway. But okay, so moving on. College banners, the murals. What else? When did the sculpting ever come into play?
Oh yes. Well, you know what, I went into college. I actually got several scholarships for art as well, which helped me pay for. I had a full ride on art scholarships to college, and I was at Arizona State. So the sculpture came my senior year in college. I took a ceramic class, and I'd never touched clay before. I never really worked with it, and I started working with clay. And I think if I would have taken ceramics my freshman year, I probably would have become a potter and not a graphic artist or a digital artist. I would have just stayed in the clay. I just love working with clay. I love getting my hands like goopy and just being part of the clay when I'm sculpting. And it's very therapeutic, and I come up with these crazy pieces out of my head. All my work is figurative. I guess it has influence from my mother, because all of her work was figurative as well. But I love the human form. I love portraits, the human body. I just really like to show expression through the human form. So I don't know if that answered that question.
Yeah, no. Now, quick question too. Well, beginning of college, I was gonna say, what made you go in the direction that you did?
With digital art,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, so I knew early on that digital art was the way of the future, and I always kept my foot in that door, or my kept my hand on the pulse. You know, I've always known that. So I learned very quickly different programs. But I started out when I had to use math to create things in 3D. This is really early on with computer art. Not many people were doing it. And, you know, it was pretty painful to do stuff with math to create art. But I've done a lot of stuff with digitizing. I got internships at the TV station at NBC so I could use their computer graphic systems, because at the time the computer art graphic systems were just, they were horrible. So I was working on the big paint box systems for on-air graphics and things like that. So I got in pretty early on, and I loved working in entertainment. So I always knew that was the direction that I wanted to go. So I got to work on a lot of on-air graphics for documentaries and television productions, and a lot of TV shows. And I've worked in entertainment for many years before going full-time as an artist.
Okay. You want to talk a little bit about what you did, and well, you know what I wanted to ask you, when you say this is what I want to ask you. What when you say that you majored in digital art, what is the definition of digital art at that time?
When I got my master's degree,
Yeah, yeah.
so School of Visual Arts, there were 3,500 applicants and they only accepted 35. And I was one of the first in their computer art program, and that was 1999.
Okay.
So digital art meaning learning C, learning Unix, programming. I did a lot of hard coding, JavaScript. So I have a lot of coding background. I'm a pretty good hacker. And building my installation for my thesis project, I created like a video scrim maze that you had to walk through that was triggered by pressure sensors on the floor, where I built my own mini motherboard that connected to the computer that triggered audio and video and stills as you walk through this blueprint on the floor. And it was a 10 by 10 installation in a room that I built. So it was before virtual reality, but I was creating a virtual reality experience in the physical world without a headset. It was a guided scrim projections.
What was, so when somebody would hit a certain point in the maze, or what you the pathway that you created, where they hit a pressure plate, a projection would light up certain things with sounds?
Yeah, so basically the whole scene takes place in an abandoned adobe house. So all my art had to be original, my photography, my music, my sounds, my videos. So I had shot the house when I lived in Arizona. And then in the doorways and the windowways of the house, that's where the projections of the memories of the people who lived there. So it felt like it was part of the scene. So it was called If These Walls Could Speak. It took me 2 years to build, and it was a really hard piece to build for 2 years of all original assets.
Very interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it sounds. I didn't. That I wouldn't have called. Okay. So question, during this whole time period, because of the experience with your family, were you selling art during this time period at all, or ever, or were you just creating it?
I was selling artwork, and I was selling my sculpture. So I learned raku when I was an undergrad, and I still was studying under master raku artists. So just like a plumber or an electrician studies under a master, I had to study under raku artists. And I had the privilege of studying under some pretty famous people. So my raku art and my pencil drawings, I made limited edition prints of all of my, I had a series of male and female nudes. Those I would sell at large shows, and I was in 2 galleries in New Hope, Pennsylvania. I was getting a check every month for my print sales. I mean, it was a really good deal because it cost me, I did a limited edition run of 150 prints of each, and I had a set of 6, and I made the money like 10 times over back. One weekend I made like $5,000 selling prints.
Oh, wow.
At an art fair. And I got best of show with my prints at the art fair. So it was very lucrative. I always was very successful. Like I had a show on Friday, I sold a piece, like I sold a piece just this past Friday. You know, so I'm always selling.
With when you say art fair, you mean one of those fairs where there's a lot of booths? Do I have?
Yeah, exactly. I used to do the Mill Avenue Merchants Association Art Fair, and they would get around 80,000 people in a weekend. And it was like a 4-day. So it was set up on Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday was the show, and you had to be there with your booth the whole time.
And you found those shows to be very lucrative?
Back then, yes, I did really well. I tried doing the shows here on the East Coast. I had much more success on the West. The East Coast, the art fairs that you could do well, or I've done 14C in Jersey City. Miami Art Basel, I've shown there. I've sold my bags, but the art that are shown on display in the booths, I was showing my digital art at Spectrum, at Red Dot, Aqua, but it was more of a spectator experience. I think I was a little bit too ahead of my time for those shows. This year I couldn't go. I do have a piece that is in Miami Art Basel with Illust.space. It's an augmented reality platform. They hosted a show, which I have a piece on the beach, which I'm happy that I have a piece there. Those shows I feel are very difficult because most of the people are going just to Miami Art Basel or, you know, one of the other shows, you know, Spectrum or something like that. And the galleries are all representing the artists. And if you're not in there with a gallery, someone there pushing to sell your work, you know, it's a different level. That's a level I hope to get to.
Well, you know, as an artist that sells physicals all the time, that's a pretty interesting thing. What's well, wait, all right. I don't want to get too, yeah, I don't want to get too off track. But okay, I want to go back to the raku thing. Can you talk a little bit about what raku is and the meaning behind it? And you also mentioned that you studied on the masters. I think, yeah, maybe talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Raku is an ancient Japanese firing process for ceramics. It was invented in the 1500s. You know, the terracotta soldiers, how they were fired in a big room. So how they would have these fires is someone would be in charge of stoking the fire. And it would be a week-long firing to get these clay pieces back to stone, right? Well, one day someone forgot to stoke the fire. It got really hot, and then it went out really fast, and then it smoldered in some smoke, and they ended up with this beautiful piece with these rich blacks on the clay. The clay is inherently white, but because of the oxygenation process with combustible material, the clay turns black. And then in the 60s, Western America, the Westerns, that's us, we turned it into something more experimental by using glazes with coppers and cobalts and white crackle. So we have all these rich lusters and beautiful spectrums. So when the fire hits the piece and we call it licking the glazes, shows the flames in the piece. Like you can literally see where the flame hit or where I kissed it with my metal clamp when I pulled it out of the 1800-degree kiln. So basically, I'll take the piece, I put it bisque with its glaze on it, and I put it into an outdoor gas kiln. And after it fires for 40 minutes, I have to wear protective gear, a face mask, gloves. I have clamps that are about 6 feet long. I have to pull it out of the kiln when it gets red hot. And then I put it into a trash can with combustible material. And that causes another firing. And that's where all the magic happens. But that first firing is 40 minutes. The next one is 10 minutes. Then I have to take it out of there and quench it with water. So the clay goes through a lot of shock, and you never know what's going to happen. They break. The Raku gods are very greedy. They always have to have one sacrificial piece. And then you have the piece. And I do pieces that are, I have many pieces that make up one piece. So it's like a construction of many pieces. So, and then some of my pieces will break. And if they do, I use the kintsugi method of gluing them back together with gold filled in the cracks, which is kintsugi. So I embrace the mistakes. Sometimes you can't, but I always try to see what I'm trying to learn from the experience, because when you work on pieces and then they break, it can be very heartbreaking.
When you say pieces, it's because is it sculptures or like are they like what do you create that you?
Oh, all my pieces are sculptures with faces and the human body.
Okay.
And we can look at some of the pieces we can go into. I have a few pieces in my virtual gallery and on my website and such. So, but mainly I like faces tell a lot of stories, whether it's a face in agony or a face that's just staring out, or with the eyes closed. I kind of leave it for the person who's viewing the piece to interpret what I have created that tells a story. Most of my pieces are about female empowerment, survival, and femininity, and a lot of mythology.
Okay. After college, you mentioned it sounded like production, or did I get that right?
What was that?
Now after college, you mentioned. Did you mention production? Was it TV production? Did I get that?
Well, I started my own digital marketing agency. I've worked for many entertainment companies. I was part of newscorps.com startup with all the Fox Entertainment and TVGen and Fox Sports. I did not work on Fox News. Just to clear that up. I worked on Aaron Spelling Productions as well, and NASCAR, Major League Baseball. I was part of Major League Baseball's startup team. I was there for 7 years, so I got to work on a lot of productions. Besides baseball entertainment, we brought in music labels, and I worked on Bon Jovi's website for his Have a Nice Day album, Tom Petty, Queen Latifah, Elton John, Hootie and the Blowfish. That's a lot of artists. And Perry Farrell. I worked with Perry Farrell on his first satellite party, and that was in 2006. And it was the first time somebody said, let's do something where we all are on the internet at one time partying with video cameras.
So just out of curiosity, was it the graphics you were you, was it?
Oh, I was doing interactive design, gaming, and web design.
Okay.
And a lot of the web design at the time, we were using Flash, and I was a beta developer when Flash came out. I worked Apple Macworld Expo featured my Flash projects at the conferences. I have international awards for my interactive Flash um, experiences. I created something for Saks Fifth Avenue, even. I was kind of a leader at the time. And I was using all those interactive programs. They're so old, no one's using them now anymore. It's actually Adobe Animate now. It's not Flash anymore.
Yeah.
And people actually still use Adobe Animate because it has time-based animation and has puppeting and things like that too. So it's still relevant, but not like it was.
Yeah, Flash at one point was the biggest thing on the internet. There's this guy. To me, he had one of the best Flash websites ever. His name was. He still exists to this day. I find him on X sometimes.
Mhm.
I haven't seen him post. This guy Kimber, Kimber, if I remember correctly. He's always on X posting away. He had this like amazing opening when you went to it. I remember when people used to ask me about Flash, I used to be like, go check out this Kim something, Kim B. Kim. Look at his website and just look at the Flash opening. Flash was like another level at that time. It was just used to take forever to open up the websites, but you knew like there were some people, and then also really the only way to make it up, it wasn't like you go in and code and change something or add a button. Like if you wanted to change something in a Flash website, you'd have to go into the Flash source code and just change. Everything would have to be changed. It wasn't. It was almost
Well,
like. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I actually got to a point where I would create an XML file that would, you could just change a text file that would update the Flash movie.
Okay. All right. So I remember watching those guys design those sites, and I always said the best sites. Well, I mean, because you had the most freedom, because you could do anything you want with Flash.
Yeah,
Um,
I was doing stuff with like QuickTime VR with it, a lot of Easter eggs. I did a lot of stuff for AMC Networks. I was doing their media kits for their TV shows. Um, definitely, it was fun, but it's gone.
question during that time period, were you still active with any art, or was your art now being placed on all of these projects?
I had to kind of I did do my sculpture still whenever my Raku masters would say, "Hey, we're doing a firing." That was what I would go and do.
Okay.
And then I would do shows occasionally, but it kind of took a back burner because, I was running an agency. I was agency of record for their consumer healthcare and AMC Networks, doing all their PR media kits. I was working on upfronts for, different shows for their TV shows as well. So I was pretty busy um, with my agency. So, and I had people working from me from India to LA to Brooklyn, all over. Um, but it was a lot. It was, you know, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, I know. I think when we all decide to go our own route, we all decide that it's going to be long days. Um, how did he? So, how long did you do that for? Or are you still doing it?
um, well, I started in 2000
Okay.
and I stopped in 2015 when I came down with cancer. So I was actually the month before I discovered I had cancer, I was giving my art away, and I was like, I'm never doing this again. I was giving my glazes away, just because I was just really focused on running my company. And then I got sick, and from the day I discovered that I had cancer to today, I've done an artwork since. And I do feel like my a higher source was saying, no, you're going to be doing your art, and that's it. And I realized I need to be doing what I love, and I decided to stop working. I kind of closed my company down. I lined up another company to take over there from me. They actually hired me to get the business. And then I started teaching, which is, I love to teach. That's the main reason why I got a master's degree, was to go back teaching and to do my art full time, and that's what I'm doing now. So things worked out really well. I'm very happy.
Okay. Was it? Did you feel like? I mean, some people believe that they carry so much stress in the life that it comes out physically through the body. Did you feel that the stress of the running the company had anything to do with cancer? I mean, because it seems like there was a change there where you started to focus all on your art, and that's got to be a pretty big, aha moment kind of thing.
It's an interesting moment when you're met with mortality. It really changes things. And instead of getting upset or sad, I actually took it as a gift. Like, I have a second chance to do what I'm supposed to be doing. And I think that it's a hard shift, because you forget your purpose. Like, my purpose was this for so long, that intensity, that high rate, working in Manhattan, it just, that pace really can be consuming. But the art world can do the same thing to you as well. Each industry can be treated like a business to some point. And I try to, with my art, to stay as true to my art as possible, and do it more for the love of it and for the messages that I want to tell, rather than trying to market to clientele. So
There's it's I got to fill in one more piece here before I get, but there's a part where I think we get to a certain age, and it's interesting because I talk to a lot of experienced people, and so it's gets to a point where you use your art skills to help survive and someone else grow, and then eventually it's like, wait a second, let me take a crack at fine art, because to me that gives me the ability to create whatever it is I want to create or I'm inspired to create. And then it's two different ways, because one way someone is kind of paying you they're commissioning your skills, whereas you are creating things that you're inspired to create, which then at the end I think brings a lot more happiness to you. Did you, I mean, kind of recognize that difference? I mean, yeah, that's got to be, well, technically, because you've been creating throughout your entire timeline. It's not like you found this, I mean, it seems like when you saw the light, it was like, all right, 100% on my art. Whereas up until that point, you were really kind of a lot of maybe the right word to say it is distractions. I like to call them distractions, right? Because, maybe, we're on a certain path, and then, oh, let me check this out. Oh, I could be useful over here. And, oh, I got this skill and that skill. And, oh, you know what? Let me see how this works out for me. And then the next thing you know, 10 years later, it's like, oh, shit, you kind of lose your time pretty quickly. And, now it's like, wait a second, whatever happened to focusing on me? Do you feel like that took place at all, or?
I definitely longed doing art while I was running my company. I was just kind of like, it did become a grind after a while. So I did want to be doing my fine art. And then when I finally was able to, it was just kind of like, I felt like I had more power, had gained my power back. Even though I could do anything for anybody, whatever they asked, I could figure it out. I'm like, yeah, we could figure this out. But when you start focusing on doing art for yourself, it just turns into very fulfilling, creating. They're almost like creating children, right? We fall in love with our art. We fall in love with our pieces. It's hard to part with the artwork sometimes too, to even sell it, right? Um,
Yeah,
my
we
rule,
get that a lot on this show.
my rule is sell it for what I will part with it for. Put that price. If it's a crazy price, well, that's the price I'm asking because that's what I'll sell it for. But then when they buy it for that price, you have to go, oh, I should have marked it higher.
You bring up a good topic. I think so many people have difficulty figuring out where their price point should be, or maybe the first time they get in the physicals. Well, it's just out of curiosity and experience and life and just the road you've been on. What I don't know. I don't know if I should ask you, like, what do you suggest? Well, like, where do people start off? How do you start figuring out what the right price of your artwork is?
Well, if you say, oh, I have to estimate by my hourly rate, some pieces take me a year to do. Yeah, I can't charge someone for a year's worth of work. But when I'm creating the pieces, and I think one thing that makes an artist a professional artist is you're not a one-hit wonder. You should be able to make something similar again in that style, right? I always try to create a series of 3 whenever I make something, when I have an idea. I don't like to just make one. And people say, how do you do so many pieces of art at one time? I usually work on 10 pieces of art projects at a time. So I'm bouncing from piece to piece. Like I worked on a painting the other day. I worked on a sculpture. I got 5 sculptures waiting to be glazed in the basement. I'm doing some fabric pieces with silk right now. I'm doing some silk layering, which is a new series I'm working on. So when I try to figure out the price point, there's been some formulas out there where you by square foot, you could price it by square foot.
Right.
And I do generally by size, but then if the piece is really complicated and if it has a lot of layers to it and would be really difficult to redo, then that's when it goes into the thousands. So if it's, I try to make pieces that I can sell at a lower price point that are more of a mass production styling, where I'll create the masterpiece and translate it into like Photoshop, like for one of my paintings, and then I'll print it as a digital print, and then I'll do a dégagé, hand paint over it with gold leaf and some acrylic paints. And then I'll add the augmented reality onto it as well, which is a really beautiful added value on top of that. So it's like a high-end print. And those pieces I can sell in the hundreds, versus my sculptures, those go in the thousands, because those are, each one can never be reproduced, because raku, even if you make something from a mold or you
The
spin a
smoke
pot,
always lays a different design.
yeah,
Right? Yeah.
it'll never be the same. Exactly.
Right.
So that's the difference between my pricing is, what is the likelihood that I'll be able to replicate this again? But for me as an artist, having the ability to make an artwork consecutive, a style that I can replicate, whether it's painted, drawings, sculpture, I find it really important to have that ability and to have the consistency.
Okay. Very good information. Yeah.
I hope I answered that. Okay.
Yeah. That was some good. I had a guest last Friday, Chris, was talking. I asked him, how do you determine the pricing of your painting? And he was like, oh, by square inch, and there's like obviously a formula there that he. But it's interesting listening to you go into a little more detail, because you did speak about the formula, but there's lots of other reasons. There were a lot of other little things in there that might have caused a differentiation in the price. Okay. Interesting. All right. Where do I want to go? Painting. That's the painting thing. Like, where did that? So you said you had like 5 years. To sound like 2015 to 2020 21. That 5 6 years. What now? Were you always painting? Because I didn't hear much about the painting. When did the painting come in? And then how did what during those 5 years was it all art? And how did you stumble upon NFTs?
Well, I've always done painting, and it actually painting helps me relax too. It's very therapeutic for me as well. Um, so the paintings, I've always worked on them, but my sculpture has always been stronger. Like I've met with curators, and they've given me their advice, and they've preferred my sculptures. But then during COVID, I started diving more into my painting styles, but I was combining Photoshop, creating artwork in Photoshop, and then printing it and then doing that painting technique. And I found it really rewarding. So prior to COVID, digital artists, if you created it in Photoshop, people thought, oh, you just made something in Photoshop. Like they didn't understand that that was an art form, that I actually painted with the brushes in Photoshop to make a painting. People didn't like, I still feel like it's a form of painting, and a lot of people weren't accepting of that. And then there was no way to display the artwork prior to COVID, right? People weren't really showing the screens with digital art. It wasn't really that popular. And I actually would talk to galleries and say, hey, I have this digital art I had made. I'm calling them moving paintings, because I would do the art and then I would animate it so it would be moving slowly. And they're like, no, I don't want that. So I do a combination of the mixture of traditional painting in Photoshop, and then I animate it, whether I'm showing a video of animation of my painting or augmented reality. So that's how I'm marketing my painting and displaying it when I do shows.
I had a question from before, and I didn't want to pass it, but you mentioned how you jump around, right? Doing your art. That's just but one project here, one project there, and I was curious. What's the best way to say this? I always had this theory, right, about cleaning up, because I just spend too much time one spot clean, get frustrated, and it's like I had enough. But then you leave it alone, or you know what? Let's just say you're trying to finish something and you want something's taking too long. It can get frustrating, so you move to something else, and then you move to say, oh, you never finished one thing, and but then I tend to I tend to find later in life that you come back to things, and then and have a different perspective on them, and look at them differently, and sometimes things will change, and it's almost like you're re-inspired by the project, where you might have gotten to a point where I've always said this too, like if you get to a point on something where you're building something or creating something and you're stuck, walk away, work on something else, and then come back to it, and then, look at it from a different perspective. Do you feel that you create better art with, spreading yourself out over 10 different projects, or is it some, or because I was going to say ADD, right? Like I said, I have a tendency of I want to start 15 different things and over here, and then I don't finish it over here, but somehow I always kind of come back to it, and I'm like, all right, you know what, now let's wrap that up, because I got an answer to that. But I was just curious, do you find do you find the same thing in the, like a method in your madness type?
Well, I think the funny thing is, when I have a show coming up is when I wrap it up. Like I got to get this done. I can't. So sometimes my pieces, they have to be wired, they have to be assembled because they're assemblage pieces. They have to be glued. They have to be reinforced so that they're stable. So part of me with the raku, I get a little panicked when I'm working with the pieces because I don't want to break them. I've broken pieces before when I've been assembling them. So it's a little scary. So I guess that's part of the reason why I probably put off some of the pieces. But the challenge is I force myself to these deadlines. I have to create deadlines for myself to complete the project. Because I could very well just leave it all in piles and not get to it. Like I'm working on this new silk series, and I make prototypes before I make the final pieces. So I just finished my prototypes, and I'm like, oh, I'm not really happy with them. Got to go back to the drawing board and make a new set. And like I said, I made 3, so I got to start over again and make 3 more. So, but you know, it's. I don't like to have unfinished projects, but if you see my studio downstairs, like I said, I've got like 8 pieces just laying there in pieces, not glazed yet, a couple glazed, a couple broken, and then you know, so they're just waiting to be finished.
I understand. I resonate with that more than you believe. I feel like my whole life is an art project.
Right?
Yeah, seriously. I got
that way,
barrels of, I always had this idea that I wanted to, my logo, right? Question mark. And I wanted to build question marks, sculptures. And so I saved a bunch of rusted tools because I said, wouldn't it be cool if like I took a bunch of rusted tools and made a question mark out of them? And I had a bunch of rusted tools. I put them in barrels and I put them together and I put them on the side of the house. And let me tell you, all they've done is getting more and more rusty. And every time I walk by them, I'm like, there's an idea for them, right? And I got 2 more 5-gallon buckets packed with shells and coral because I want to build a question mark out of shells and coral as I want sculptures, right? And every time I walk by these buckets, it says, I don't think anyone else sees the art projects. They just, it says, get rid of that garbage, And it's like, it's not
the same thing.
Yeah, and I'm like,
it's an art project.
but that's a question mark, and that's another question mark, right? It's I haven't gotten to them yet. And it seems like life, it's you get distracted. You go on these things and oh, shit, let me do it. You end up, you got all these great ideas, never enough time to finish them. Then they end up being these small piles of like things that start collecting everywhere. And I resonate with that a lot. I do. Just got a project over here, got a project over there. But it's got to feel good to finish them. I think it benefits you, to be honest. I think it's such a benefit because I remember like back when I was younger, my parents always used to give me shit like, you never finish anything. You never finish anything. But then it turns out that as life has gone on, I've started finishing things along the way. It's like it just took me maybe 5 or 10 years to get back to them. Sometimes I think it works better that way because you have a fresh perspective. How did you stumble into the whole NFT scene?
Well, I was working with Dexter Wibberley. He's a curator. He actually curates a lot of artists, and he was starting Art World Conference. He was my mentor as a curator as well, and he wanted some of my graphic design help and building a website and doing some branding for this new company he started called Art World Conference. So I was working on that, and I was also a speaker talking to artists how to create websites. And they had some other artists. So there was probably, I don't know, 35 artists that were on different panels. Uh, it was kind of a business art of learning workshops for artists conference to attend. And there was one session I sat in on, this was 2019, February of 2019. And they were talking about how you could own a piece of a Picasso. And they called it crypto art. They didn't call it NFTs then. And I knew a lot about Bitcoin. I was working on a project in I started working in 2017 at a financial firm. I was doing their web design portals and stuff. It was in Connecticut when I heard about Bitcoin. So I knew about cryptocurrency and all of that before I went to this Art World conference and met these ladies that were talking about how you could own crypto art. And I was intrigued by it. And that's when I first heard about it. And then during COVID, I started learning about Rarible and NFTs. And I started minting my own artwork in 2020, like late 2020.
That was during the boom.
Well, the boom was 2021.
Right.
That was the boom. So, because Beevil sold his piece in March of 2021.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So, I actually had some commissions and sold NFTs in 2021 as well. During the boom, I all of a sudden I was getting a lot of people asking me for art and pieces. So it definitely was a boom. It was kind of crazy, but you know, there were a lot of scammers out there too. Like there was a lot of crazy stuff happening then. Yeah, I've been on a lot of these technology waves. I was on the internet wave in 1997. You know, I like to call it like a surfing wave. And you know, it peaked and then it goes down.
Yeah, you seem to catch that seem to be right ahead of the right as the wave breaks. Honestly, just listening to hear you talk and how you've jumped around. Did the that time period with the now it's digital art, right? Because the NFTs. Did you incorporate physical into that during that time period? Did you wait till a little bit later? Like
no, like I was into the physical right away. I started doing augmented reality in 2018.
Okay.
My first pieces I did actually were in 2017, and I was using Unity to do augmented reality with Vuforia and programming it. But then Spark AR came out, and I was doing augmented reality with Spark AR. I was selling artworks with complementing augmented reality face filters with my art, and you could wear my art and be part of my art. It was very fun. But then with the NFC chip technology and the physical art, that I started in 2021 when I met Sam Miller from the Fine Arts Ledger. And I was in Clubhouse. You know, a lot of us were in Clubhouse, and that's where I met him. And I met so many wonderful people, a lot of friends from NFT NYC. I met a lot of friends from Searchlight and One Love DAO. I'm friends with all the people who started that up as well. So Mint Gold Dust, like all these different NFT communities. I know everybody in all these different pockets, but we all started in Clubhouse together.
Yeah, before Spaces, I think it was Clubhouse. I remember.
You had to get invited to go in Clubhouse.
Yeah,
you couldn't even just right.
you also needed an Apple phone to run.
Right.
And I'm an Android guy, so I always had a Samsung. always had a Samsung, and it was the first time I ever considered buying an Apple phone just for uh, Clubhouse, because
Right.
I heard everybody talking about it, and then when I
Mhm.
heard people describe it, and then when I saw the audio files coming from it, I was like, "This is fucking awesome!" Like, how do you get? And they were supposedly they were gonna let it. It was gonna come to. I remember when it just came to Samsung, but at that point it kind of died. And then the
Yeah.
next thing you know, like X Spaces was blowing
Right.
up, and I
It
think
blew up.
yeah, everybody. So yeah, the whole NFT culture started in Clubhouse, if I'm correct.
Hmm.
Is that right?
It did. Yes, it did. And we would be in groups where people from all over the world, literally 12 hours, 24 hours at a time in these spaces.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
and
that
I
that that
started.
hasn't changed on X.
No, no, I was getting kind of manic from it. It was
Yeah,
too
you
much.
you got to get burnt out, and then you're like, all
Yeah,
right, wait, let me put the
I was.
brakes on this spaces stuff.
It was crazy, and I was doing stuff NFTs for charities too. And I was working with that group as well. I was working with so many groups. I was working on so many projects. Anything. I was like, yeah, I'll help. Yeah, I'll help. And I was working with Paul Michael Glazier, uh, converting his artwork into NFTs and animating them for him. And he was doing pediatric AIDS charitable fundraisers with NFTs. Um, but such a tricky thing, Clubhouse. It kind of burned me out because people would bomb the rooms. We like almost we were trying to sell a piece. We had a buyer. We had $10,000, and somebody came and bombed the room and kind of like insulted the buyer. And it was just like it was so stressful. I was like, I can't do this.
Did you make the transition to X Spaces, or did you get burnt out off of Clubhouse?
I got so burnt out from Clubhouse. I do X Spaces once in a while, but not that often. And I'm teaching full time. I'm teaching, 5 classes. So and then I'm doing a lot of shows. When I do Miami, that's a lot of time to prepare for that. So yeah, I only if I get asked to do it will I join, but I just don't have time to just jump in and dedicate that much time.
Did you so now question, how do you see a lot of people I've spoke to a fair amount of galleries, some the ones that I've spoke to, they've kind of been like very, so it's interesting, right? Because if you're in the NFT world, you don't have a problem purchasing the NFT with a physical. You're okay with it. It's yeah, just send me both, or I'll purchase. Even sometimes people are like, I'll just take the NFT, keep the physical. I don't want it, but sometimes people will want the physical. Um, then you talk to galleries that don't have anything to do with the NFT world, completely
Yes.
isolated from it,
Hmm.
strictly physical sellers. And, you talk to them, and it's like, yes, buyers get a little weary if they hear there's another piece of it for sale somewhere in the digital world.
Hmm.
So they're not very open, so I just want the physical only, otherwise it might hurt the sale with the collector. Um, do you have that, and especially teaching? What is your perspective on? What are your thoughts on, connecting a digital and a physical, or should the blockchain just only be used for like the COA? Should there be a digital version of the art and a physical version of the art? Like, what are your thoughts on all of that?
But I love the fact that you could have a history and a record of the art in a digital version. I think it's essential. I mean, houses are starting to be sold with NFTs to accompany the title. Cars, Chevy did their first NFT car in 2023. There's high schools are giving diplomas out as NFTs. I do think it's the next phase. Maybe it needs to be rebranded as something else, because I think
You mean
in our
remove the
world,
NFT stuff?
yeah, I think that the NFT, that term in the art world, it's become a dirty word in a way. Um, with the NFCs that I work with the Fine Arts Ledger, um, the person who started this company, he works with museums and the high-end auction houses, and they find that as an acceptable means because the value is not being placed on the NFT. That the rights of ownership is more traceable through that NFT technology. I think that once something's minted on the blockchain, it's there forever. So I really feel like NFTs are important. Certificate of authenticity is very important. I think for collectors, it's a really great way to keep track of your art and archiving your art. Some collectors, you know, they don't always put all their art on the walls. They store the artwork, and museums too. The artwork gets stored in a basement. So to have that digital tracking record where everything is, I think it's really worth doing.
I agree with that 100% as well. I love the fact that you can physically tie with a chip to the blockchain. You can track, you can scan, sell, transfer. The one thing that you're right about is, you know, the honor system, right? Because I've tried to think of every possible. I love how you can combine two. It seems like collectors are a little weary if they know that there's a digital on the blockchain, but I think that if you use the blockchain in a form of tracking, you know, a certificate of authenticity, knowing where the art's traveled to, you know, I mean, how much you could put everything on there every time you scan it, you know, where it's been shown, you know, it's whose hands it's been in, the transactions and so forth and so on. And I mean, we're about let me see, let me just check the time. Yeah. So we're about an hour and 10 hour and 15 minutes in. Time's moving fast. I want to get over to the computer, and I want to start showing some of your art and talking about that more. My last question was going to be, how did the bags, how did that happen? And while I asked that question, how that happened, I'm going to move over to the computer and reset up the screens. But
Oh, sure. Let me pull out a bag too. So I wanted a way to show my digital artwork, as we talked about with, I like the portability of the bag, being able to carry the bag around while I'm showing the art. And I feel like it's a great thing to have. These bags that I created, let me get my plug. I don't know what happened to it. I have them manufactured in China, so they're waterproof, they're unisex. They're great. They could be a hand clutch bag, they could be a sling bag, they can be a backpack, so they're very versatile. So during COVID, I started cannibalizing monitors to laptops, and that's when I started playing around with the idea. But then when I decided to go with a company that I found in China, they had the LED board, which shows more pixel art style with the bags. So the bags that I have are more pixel art animations, and you program it through your phone. And so I mint the bags as NFTs because I can put the QR code there to scan, to download the app. And I put the artwork on the web page that's generated for the NFT, so that if you lose the artwork, it's still there and you can still download it. But then I thought it would be fun for people at NFT NYC to get the bag, and then they could put their own artwork on it, because I tell you, I'm a showstopper wherever I go. New York, LA. I was speaker at AWE, Augmented World Expo, in California twice now. People always stop me. I sell a bag every time I go. Um, I'd like to sell more than one bag though.
Yeah, I think the bag is an absolute winner. I
Thank
see you.
you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's stuff. I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it and I'm like, that's pretty cool. And you're like, it's my NFT, and I'm like, really? Tell me more. Yeah, I think the bag is such a highlight. I just want to say hello to a few people. What up, Big Money? I see you out there. What up, Hito? What up, Goalie? What up, guys? Let me see if anybody said hello. What up? All right, everybody's over here on IG as well. What up, IG? So what? I'm gonna bring the IG all the way back, but what is a price of a bag? What does a bag go for?
I'm selling them for 250.
Okay.
That's really reasonable.
Now, question: is that like does that come with a work of art as an
Yes.
NFT? Okay. Now, what if somebody are they available if someone wants to purchase a bag and put their art on the bag as well? Like, how does the whole thing work?
Well, when they get the bag, I it's delivered with the chip, so you can tap the chip to go to the site. I have to transfer the ownership to the person who buys the bag, and then there's a pamphlet that where you scan the QR code and you can download the app to your phone, and then from there you sync your phone to the bag, and then you can upload your artwork. So you can upload photography. I worked with an author, and she bought the bag and I helped her put a QR code on the bag and her photo,
Oh
and we
shit!
put the cover of her book on the bag, and while she did her lecture it was going and people were scanning the QR code,
Oh
and
shit!
it
That's a
was a
great
nice
idea. Yeah, that's a
promotion.
great idea. So
Yeah.
even so a QR code does come out. It's readable on with oh, that's such a good
Yeah.
idea.
But it's pixel art too. So, you got to fudge the pixels a little, not with the QR code, but if you're sometimes you have to fix the type a little or something like that in the paint program because it has a little paint editor program.
Okay. So we're gonna come back to that. Right now, I'm all the way down at the bottom of your IG, uh,
Oh,
and I started at the very beginning. We got a garbage pail with a very strong flame, burning. Is this so? The shots that I always see on your IG, where you're got the grippers and you're always
right.
grabbing something with, is that when you're doing the? I want to make sure I say it properly. Raku? Am I?
Yeah, that's raku.
Okay.
I am working under 1800-degree temperatures for my kiln, and I tend to do it in the summer. Uh, August is a really tough time to do it.
Yeah, I would imagine with the heat, right?
I always end up doing it in August. It works out that way.
Hey, a question: is this something that could be done any time of the year? Or does the exposing outside air have an effect?
It actually does. So I can fire in the winter, and I've had residencies in Watch Hill, Rhode Island at Ocean House Resort, um, and I was doing my demo. People pay to watch me fire, and I had pre-made pieces that glaze. And when we were there, they were like, "Do you have yellow glaze?" And I'm like, "No, I have this blue." I didn't realize it. We're right there on the ocean. This resort is right next to Taylor Swift's mansion on the rocks. That's how gorgeous this place was. It was incredible. Um, but there was the spray of the ocean water coming up while we were pulling the pieces out, and we were 100 yards from the water, and the salt air caused the glaze to turn yellow,
Huh.
and it was blue.
Huh.
It was incredible. Everyone was so happy, like, oh, it's yellow.
So the actual outdoor elements do take a part in, especially when you're, um, I'm gonna say, so I did used to do a little ceramics, and we used to always get but the clay molds used to be finished already. We used
Uh-huh.
Christmas trees,
Oh, right.
right? So we
Yeah,
just used to
yeah.
buy that clay mold. But then we
like a
would,
paint instead.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was my class. We used to buy little Christmas trees and we used to paint them with the ceramic paints. If I remember correctly, you painted, some would be matte, some would be clear, and then you would
Mhm.
glaze. If I remember, you'd have to glaze and then it goes into the oven, and then it
Right.
is. Do I have the process correct? If I,
Yeah, exactly. So my kiln is a clamshell kiln, so it opens from both doors
okay.
and it's on wheels. So, I've been able to take it with the residency that I've had at Watch Hill. But it's it's definitely not many people do it. It's kind of a rare thing. And it's very popular in the Southwest because it doesn't rain that much there. So it's here on the East Coast, it's weather contingent.
Um, it seems like you might be pretty creative when it comes to. So I'm gonna say usually with the oven, you were limited to a certain size that you could create.
Mm,
Are you limited by, because it looks like you might use
yeah.
garbage cans, you might use all sorts of different things to create that type of heat. Especially, do you, how does, like, are you limited by size? How does it work?
I am limited by size, and that's why I started doing assemblage pieces. Um, there's a piece behind me, but you can't see it because I've got this background on. I can try to take the background off. But if you go, I don't know if it's in the gallery. Let me see if I can take the background off. Um, take it off and make it like a little blurry. So I'll pick up one of my pieces here. So this is a pretty big piece. Can you see that?
Yes.
And see how it's figurative?
Yes. Oh,
So this
yeah,
piece
yeah.
this is horsehair. I burned horsehair into the pieces. So I'm basically painting with fire. The piece has to cool down to 1,000 degrees or 800 degrees before I can get close enough to burn horsehair into it. So it's a pretty big piece.
What do you just lay the hair on there or how does that?
Yeah, I lay the horsehair on there. Horsehair is very coarse too, but it burns up really well. I can use bird feathers as well. And then I also have wire on it too. And I really reinforce the pieces with wire so that I can ensure they don't fall because this is pretty heavy piece.
And you have it mounted on wood, which I'm sure adds a lot of weight to it as well.
Yeah, this is aged antique wood. Like you were saying about your rusty tools, I really
Right.
like that because I find old pieces of wood and driftwood and tools or kind of like, horse equipment or things like that,
Right,
like
right.
rustic. I love that kind of stuff. And I always try to mix my artwork with that type of stuff. But this is um, more smoked. I don't put this in the garbage can. You can see a little bit of smoke around the face. That's where the smoke was coming up right there.
Okay. Now that's something that's one piece, right? That's not something you had to assemble. I
No,
mean,
that's just
besides
one
assemble
piece.
to the background, right?
Yeah, that's just one piece, and I usually have to get help pulling large pieces like that out of the kiln.
I would imagine that you could paint with a lot of different. I mean, what about steel wool? I mean, steel wool's got to be.
Oh, well, that'll burn. The kiln gets so hot. I have wrapped copper around my pieces, which actually ignites. It causes several degrees, like levels of when it ignites and refires up too after I take it out of the kiln. And then I put it in the trash can and it does little sparks. So if I have a glaze with that, it'll create some really beautiful lusters by the wire. But the wire does tend to disintegrate.
What about I was gonna say, what about I want to say like flash powder or dynamite or well, you know, I'm not saying yeah, no, I'm not.
But you can use alcohol. I've used sugar. I've
Oh,
used
right, right,
salt.
like 151 would, right?
I've thrown, well, you put the alcohol in like a little spray bottle.
Ah, okay,
And
okay.
after it comes out of the fire, you spray it before you put it into the trash can. Or some people just spray it and they let the air elements cool it down. But I always put it back in the trash can. Sometimes people will spray it with alcohol and then they'll use a blowtorch and blow it with a blowtorch to get some of the specific hot spots.
Question, have you ever tried colored smoke? Like, you know, the smoke bombs that you light and then it's gonna
No, I haven't.
gonna say there's so many different things you can probably do in the process of, you know, the capturing the whatever you're deciding to paint with.
Right. Yeah.
All right, that's pretty cool. Well,
Thanks.
it makes me look at everything differently, especially you know, as it's a lot of different techniques, and also with the internet, people getting more and more creative. I think it's because everybody has the ability to watch everybody else create. People put up whips, you know, and they're like, oh shit, like that's a good idea, and then not necessarily take the same idea, but maybe it's something that you saw, you know, somebody else do, and oh, you know what, let me implement that style or that idea into my art. And I think, like, you know, it's opens the imagination. I think we're opening our imaginations a lot more with the use of being able to jump on the internet and look at everyone create. I think that's why you're seeing the evolution and the blossom of so many great artists, because the information is just that much more accessible today. And then, you know, if you want to learn how to paint, you can watch your favorite painter. I'm sure you can watch how they do their brush strokes. You can watch how, yeah, you learn a lot just from watching somebody's whip and somebody do something. Like, oh, I could do that. I could give that a shot. Or, you know, let me, you know what I'm surprised about? I'm surprised that you've never glass blowing or you know, acrylics. I'm surprised that you haven't.
Oh yeah, I have this piece here is acrylic. So this is that cigar box piece.
Oh, okay, okay.
So that's
And the
acrylic,
cigar boxes you did in threes.
right? And
Yep.
this is acrylics with gold leaf.
Is that acrylic coated?
It has a acrylic coating on top of it too.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. And that's the piece that you were trying to see before the other day, I think.
The cigar box is pretty good. Really good idea there, because they kind of open up like a frame almost, right?
It's fun. There's so
Yeah,
much fun.
that's a really good
This
idea
is my
right there.
favorite cigar box, this one here. And this one actually has this inlay over it. And then the gold leaf is just here. But sometimes I'll put gold leaf all over the inside door of it too.
Now, do you paint on the actual box, or is that a canvas? Like, do you paint like?
This is I print out and put it on foam core
Okay,
and
okay.
paint it and then mount it in here and seal it.
Yeah, I'm not into cigars that much, but that is a nice looking cigar box.
I actually like a good cigar.
You that's very, very, very creative. Oh shit, I lost it. Hang on. So let me get that back. Where were we? There we go. Okay. What else was I gonna say? So, between all of these different arts, do you have a particular go-to? Like, is there a favorite out of everything you like to do?
I love to do record. That's
Okay.
my favorite. I mean, I would do that over anything else. This year's been really tough for me. I was in a bad car accident and surgeries and this and that. But I'm getting strong again because I have to have a lot of strength to do the record. So I've been doing a lot of painting and this new fiber arts series that I'm working on. I'm very excited about because I love fibers as well. I just like physical materials. So I'm actually teaching environmental art issues this spring, which I'm actually very excited about. And because I enjoy mixing nature with my pieces, wood, branches, I mentioned driftwood. So I'm probably going to create an installation with my students that I'm excited about doing. But I really enjoy working on pieces that involve the environment.
Do your students end up following your art career at all? I mean, do they end up showing up at shows or anything like that? Like, do they?
Yeah, they do. I had a show this past Friday. I have a new studio slash gallery in Jersey City, and I have a parking lot right out front.
All right. All right.
Parking's key.
Yeah, I would imagine that's a big convenience.
It's huge. But yeah, a lot of my students showed up. I was very happy about that. And it's always a surprise. I have shows in New York. Sometimes I get surprised by people showing up that I would never expect, so it's always nice to have students and everyone show up.
When you do a raku piece, how long, like from, and I wanted to ask you about this, the LED, is it LEDs? No, it's fiber optics. I wanted to ask.
Oh,
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about the fiber optics. I got two questions clashing at the same time right now.
okay.
Only because the fiber optics came up, but I saw that you worked with fiber optics. How do you? So now I'm going to throw a third question into this whole mix. How do you like? What do you just go with the flow? You see something and you're like, you know what? I'm going to try that. Like how do? It seems like because your art style is constantly evolving, right? Especially getting a little more digital-esque. I feel. How do you? Yeah. How do you decide what? Yeah, cyberish kind of. Which is I think a cool thing because it kind of feels like you're turning with the whole NFT digital art. How do you? So I was going to ask you when it comes to the raku. My first question is how long does a piece take from begin? I mean, you have to sculpt it, then you have to, I would imagine, paint it. However you decide to, however you decide to create the piece, whether it's through different burns or smokes or horsehair or, and then I would imagine mounting it. Then comes into play. You got to decide how it gets mounted. And then, of course, all of the, I'm going to call them accessories, like maybe if you add gold leaf or things of that nature. How long did these pieces take you? And then, so how did the whole, and then I have to ask, how did the whole fiber optics, how did you, yeah, go ahead.
Well, the pieces can take between, I think the minimum they take 6 months. Because I have to sculpt it in clay, then it needs to dry, then I have to bisque it. Then after it's bisque, then I have to glaze it for the raku kiln, then I have to do the raku fire, and then I have to wash the pieces, I have to let them dry, and then I have to figure out how I'm going to assemble them or if I'm going to mount them. A lot of my pieces are commissioned. And then I also donate pieces to charitable auctions as well. So my pieces go as soon as they're finished, pretty much. I think I don't know if you saw the one, the Keeper of Tides that's on the blue sculpture with the ocean waves.
Yes.
That one I showed at a museum, and there were like 5 people. It was a bidding war for that piece. And that ended up being my favorite piece. I did not want it to sell.
Is that the one that you combined with the ocean wave that crashes over it? That's a physical and a digital, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. And it has the NFC chip with it too.
But is it on a bag though?
On a bag. The
missed.
chip is on. No, they can't be put on the piece because you can't tap the clay it'll break.
What? It's okay. Well, let me ask that question. How do you incorporate the physical and the digital then? Like, if do they is it a purchase of the digital, or you sell them separate? Like, are they separate pieces?
No,
how does that work when you know it's a deal with a collector?
it's a reverse. So it's they buy the physical and then they get the digital as part of
Oh,
it.
okay.
So it's almost like, you know, how the unlockable content, you get the physical, I do
Yeah.
it the other way.
So, question: do you anybody ever buy the physical and then you're like, hey, don't forget your NFT, and they're like, my what? Like you
Oh,
ever?
all the time, all the time, all the time. I had a day spa commissioned me to do 2 pieces. And I said, oh, and it's an NFT. And they're like, oh. But then after the owner figured out what I was saying, he was like thanking me. He's like, thank you for introducing me to NFTs and crypto and all this. He's like, I'm having a blast. I'm making so many investments. Like he was just like ecstatic.
How do you explain to somebody who has no idea? Like, what do you like? Hey, what's up? Here's your. And also, do you give them like? What do you give them? Like, what? Does it just you give them the art with the chip, and you're like, all right, listen, your NFT, just scan the chip or scan the RF code.
Yeah, they have to send. They have to give me their email address.
Do you make them set up a
Um,
wallet? Like, how does this happen?
no, no. See, this is the beauty of these NFC with the Fine Arts Ledger. You don't have to have a digital wallet to get an NFT with the artwork.
Ah.
It gets sent to your email address. I also do this with Space, the NFTs that we do for augmented reality, like the show that was at Miami Art Week last week. Um, those are NFTs too. They're minted on Polygon. Um, and you can tie it to your email address or your phone number, and it gets delivered that way. And then if you want to put it in your wallet later, you transfer it.
So it's just basically sitting idle on blockchain waiting for instructions
Basically.
that could be accessed by their email or their cell or a text message or
Exactly.
ah.
So the Fine Arts Ledger, they just opened a marketplace. I connected my wallet to it. They just recently. It's only a couple of weeks that it's been up. So they are creating a marketplace
I love this.
for regular NFTs.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but this piece with I believe there is it's a sculpted piece along with. Did you add it with a hornet's nest? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's an awesome piece.
Oh, I actually just showed that on Friday. I worked with an author on that piece.
Yeah, what a
Tina
great idea.
So that piece is, I worked with Tina Berry. She is an author and lives in High Fells, New York. And she moved into the house next to Marc Chagall's Lovers. So Marc Chagall, Paris, he had a home in High Falls, New York. Nobody knew anything about the lover. They had a child together. It was like he had a whole nother life. And she couldn't find anything about this person. She did contact Marc Chagall's granddaughter, even in Paris, to find out what she could. She ended up writing a book of love poems about their affair, and she invited 12 artists. Each one received a poem from her book, and we all had to create a piece based on the poem. And she gave me birth. So that's what that piece is about, birth. It's got horsehair burnt into it, wasp nest, and then the film is the not the honeycomb, but the combs where the hive. That's what those film pieces are. The piece traveled from Wired Gallery in High Falls, New York, and then it went to the Humanities Gallery in Brooklyn. So it was a 2-year traveling show.
How do you when it comes to galleries? Let me ask you a question. What is how do you deal with? So I always had this question, but when it comes to your art, right? I mean, you ever worried that they're gonna? I mean, it's very fragile, right? We're not talking about a solid piece of wood, or something falls. It could take. did anyone ever break anything? Like, how do you worry about,
Yeah,
and when you, yeah, so shit.
yeah,
When you deal with the galleries, how does that work? Like, do they pay for shipping? Do you bring it to the, like, how do you set all that up?
yeah.
And then what happens? Did anybody ever break one, or what happens in that type of situation?
Well, I usually deliver everything. I've never had any problems, but I did have a problem once, and it was kind of a sketchy situation to begin with. Um, and when the gallery owner told me he wanted to buy my piece, he didn't tell me it broke. And then he crossed out the price that I had written and named the price he would pay for it. And then when I showed up, he handed it to me in the box, broken. It was the most shocking experience I've ever had. And it ruined the relationship basically, with the gallery owner. Um, I'm super careful with my work. I If I feel like it's going to be insecure, I'll wire it on top of whatever I'm mounting on. I can spend up to a week gluing and wiring and assembling the piece, just like testing it, make sure it won't fall off or it won't break. So I'm very like particular with my pieces. So it does happen, these things happen. You can't predict why would it happen? You just can't predict it.
Have you ever
So,
had to ship anything?
no, I have not shipped. I've always hand delivered, and most of my pieces have all stayed on the East Coast. I've had pieces on the West Coast, but when I actually did ship a few one to California, one to Arizona, South Carolina. I guess I have shipped, yeah.
Okay.
But I'm really good with wrapping, and I'm very secure with how I wrap stuff. But the majority of my works I sell in person at my openings.
Well, I mean, it's just, this is crazy because you have the experience from, being in it with your mother, right? Like, I think from the very beginning, you were probably being groomed.
Right?
Yeah, totally. You had the experience. I think when you're around it, you understand it a lot better. When you're not around it, and you're trying to get into it, I think you could probably, it's any artist can, get a little overwhelmed, or so, where you, I think, kind of just like, yeah, I'm kind of used to this, as an artist, right? Like, it's obviously, what do you okay, here's this is, you're a good person to ask.
Okay.
Not only being a teacher who teaches, I'm going to assume you teach art, correct? Or some,
Yes,
okay.
digital art and traditional. I teach painting, sculpture, everything. I'm teaching ethics and art and artificial intelligence, marketing for artists. I teach everything.
Oh. Okay. So being a teacher, being part of also seeing the NFT world and how it works, and then being physical, a lot of displays, a lot of artwork on display, a lot of shows. Um, it's how important is the physical aspect of it per se, even for, like, maybe even digital artists, people who create on the computer, people who create just digital art, but never think to, oh, maybe I should get that printed, maybe I should get it on a physical display, right? I mean, you got it to the point where you brought the digital work to a physical pocketbook, and now the physical pocketbook became a work of art that comes alongside with the NFT. I mean, I was like, so you are big on, I think, physical and the physical world. What are your thoughts on what do you think the best formula is for everything? For you know, am I asking? I think I'm asking the
Yeah,
right
I
question.
understand what you're saying. And I think since we all have digital phones, they have the cameras that are better than most 35 millimeter, like not 30, but most digital cameras, your phone is a digital camera now. So always take a photo of every work at every stage with the best lighting possible. That's like a mandatory for me. I always try to, if it's a painting, how can I reproduce it? And then if it's a sculpture, I scan my sculptures in 3D before I sell them. So I don't know if you went into this spatial gallery that I sent you the link for.
No, but we can. Hang on, I could bring that up.
I have to, my AirPods are running out of battery. I have to switch.
Okay. In the meantime, we will bring up your. Let's see. This I have this. Okay. Okay, so your spatial. I'm getting feedback.
Are you?
Yeah.
For me?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe disconnect and reconnect them. It actually sounds like a digital voice.
I put it on mute. Did you hear with the mute on?
It kind of sounds like our voices are like digital now.
Okay, do you hear me?
Yes.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We're much better.
Okay.
I have your spatial up. Art World Oasis. Yeah.
Oh, that's my art world, and
there's a second
that's
one.
a special project, and that's part of my new printing. But art with virtual reality, and created an actual oasis in the sky.
Trish, do me a favor.
Yes.
Leave the meeting. Come back into the meeting.
Oh, okay.
There's something going on when you switch the audio.
Okay, I'll leave and come back.
Yeah, come.
Okay.
You'll be back
right
in 20 seconds.
Okay.
What up, Hammer? I see you out there. Waiting for Trish to come back. What up, guys? What up, everybody over on IG? Let's see if we got anybody on Twitch. Very quiet. It's quiet out there tonight. Okay, let's see.
Is that better?
Yeah. That's 10 times better. Okay.
Okay. That's weird.
Yeah, that was you were going in, you were talking from digital art world right for a second. Okay, I have your art gallery, Immensive Art by Trisha up. That I have the spatial up.
Okay, good.
So if you want me to show something, I could walk everybody through.
I kind of forgot where we were.
What were we talking about? Was it something on display? Oh, we were talking about how you scan your art sculptures.
Oh, right. So as soon as you walk into this space, you'll see
I
blue
never
sculpture.
remember shit either. Yeah, so to talk about. Yeah, we were talking about scanning your art sculptures.
Yeah. So I have two pieces in there that I scan, or actually all the sculptures are in there. I scanned in 3D. I use Polycam, which I love that program. It's awesome. Um, I've been using that for a while. And it's actually made me feel as though I can actually sell these works and part with them because I have a 3D record of them. um, one of the pieces, Queen of the Night, is an opera piece.
Okay.
She I 3D scanned her. I put amethyst in her crown of her skull in Blender in 3D, and then I turned her into a face filter, um, which was on Spark, but Spark is no more anymore. Um, and when you tried the face filter, when you opened your mouth, you would sing Queen of the Night, the opera.
I'm standing in front of the piece right now, the 3D
Oh,
piece,
good.
showing
Yeah, it has
everybody.
all the video to go with it. I try to document all the where it's been and things like that next to it. Not all the pieces have all the documentation, but that one I did because it was kind of a so many stories to tell, you know.
Now, logging this stuff and putting it all into a spatial. Question: waste of time, or are you ahead of your time? Which one is it?
Oh, I've been ahead of my time for sure. This gallery, I there's some things I want to do. I want to create an avatar that's there all the time to greet people when they walk in, and I want to put in an audio track talking about my bio. I think it needs that, but I just haven't had time.
So let me. So the big the fight that always ensues when it comes to VR galleries is how do you get people into them? How do you get people to see them? And then therefore, everybody says, oh, that's a waste of time. But you put a lot of time into this. Not only that, but these scans. What a really good idea, scanning all of your sculptures. You obviously put a lot of time into this, so you feel that this is worthwhile. What do you see? How do you get people? I mean, do you feel like this is a good business card? What are your thoughts on the whole, or is it a good way to log? Will people eventually start rushing into the VR world? Well, what? I'm just dying to know some of your thoughts on this.
Well, Spatial is it's kind of a community event place. So people have to be directed there, and an event has to be created for people to go to it. That's what I have found. And that's not just with Spatial, it's with other VR platforms. I work with the Glimpse group. I'm a consultant for them as well. And they have some VR platforms. They've done it really well with the niches that they've worked with. They're doing VR meeting spaces for sick kids who are terminally ill, who can't leave the hospital. And it's so that particular instance, the kids are able to socialize where they can't. But then with the art shows, I think it can bring international viewership to the space where normally people from other countries can't get to the space. Now, I think right now we're at a phase now where it's going to change with, I think, glasses. We see it with the Ray-Bans. I think the technology is going to excel to where we can change the space to, if we wanted to see that spatial gallery in our own space, we can. Spatial works in augmented reality. It works on the desktop, it works on your phone, and it works in virtual reality. I don't think enough people know about it. It's not mainstream. So I think once, like computers are mainstream, we've been trained to use computers. We haven't trained computers yet to adapt to our living spaces. And once that adaptation changes, you'll be able to see more spatial type environments in the real world in augmented reality. And it wouldn't be so much, it would be a full augmented integration rather than a virtual reality integration. Virtual reality, I do feel, is a little bit, people get dizzy after a half hour wearing the headset. They get disoriented. Some people have difficulties with working with avatars, but there's that XR community where people are very passionate for being in virtual reality. I'm with XR Women, XR Guild, NYVR. I attend all these meetups and know all these networks of people from AWE. So a lot of people really enjoy virtual reality, enjoy that technology. There's training now for the medical industry using virtual reality headsets, but in more of an augmented reality fashion for training for different types of medical procedures even. So the equipment still isn't there enough to make it more mainstream. I think it's still too clunky. I mean, it's better than 2016. It's it's getting lighter weight and so on. I was doing the beta development for Spectacles, which is Snapchat has the augmented reality
Right.
programs.
Yeah. Spectacle.
Well, I had the glasses, but it was so expensive. I was paying $52 a month to be one of their beta developers. And I've always been either paid to be a beta developer or get it for free. I've never had to pay for something. And I sent them back. They were very clunky. They wouldn't stay on. They were tethered. You had to be plugged in to use them. So there's certain things that people need to make it mainstream. It has to be an easier point of entry.
Do you feel that we're going to get to the point where we could just tap on our glasses and see the whole,
I think so.
your whole gallery just comes up, right? And
Yeah.
now we're in your gallery. Yeah, that would make it a lot easier rather than having to go to a computer and, shim around or get it slow on your. As we over on our side of the world, we deal a lot with on cyber. And I've seen some people do some amazing things, gallery shows and NFT collections and just some really cool stuff on cyber. And everybody who's really for it is like really for it,
Yeah.
But then you go to the gallery show and it's like the opening has 300 people there and that's it. And then it's the last time anybody's ever in it. And then it's like, well, shit, what do we do with it now? And how do we get people? It just doesn't have that constant flow of traffic like as if it was part of, a Roblox world where people are like constantly entering and shifting around and going from one room to the next, really experiencing it. It's like an almost limited view, but everybody who is in on it really has been sold. Everybody is 100% sold.
There's a passionate following for sure.
Very much so. Yeah, it's got that video game feel.
Mm-hmm.
And then how awesome is it to be able to go into a VR gallery and have your entire, if you were to do let's say you were to do a full-on solo show, you could really go into VR and lay out your entire solo show in a 3-dimensional scan of, let's say, the art gallery, rather than shipping the stuff, bringing the stuff, not knowing going back and forth, hanging the stuff, chances where everything would get, where the art would get hurt, or instead you could actually, oh, you know what, let me put it together in this VR gallery and let me see what I can come up with. And so, there's so many pluses and there's so many positives. It's just unfortunate, like you said, that it's not, it needs to be more, it's being slept on, there's not enough traffic through it to the point that, really makes it, wouldn't it be nice to be able to like show up in your gallery any given time and maybe 40, 50 people walking around in there and, oh shit, got some meanwhile, instead, you show up to your gallery and there's just one person and they're running into a wall, nonstop. And,
Right.
it's,
But
but
I always, when I would have events in my gallery, I would always coordinate with somebody else who has a gallery too,
Okay.
so that we could pop back and forth through portals to each other's gallery. Um, so there, it takes a community. I think that's what the key is to get the larger traffic. I feel like for spatial and for what I have, I feel like I do have a good amount of followers. The only spatial site that's gotten the most traffic was I think it was a Walmart game in spatial. I think they had 10,000 people. But you could see when it peaked and when it stopped, the traffic. And this after 2024, a lot of the traffic for
right.
VR has cut back dramatically.
Right. Yeah. So it seems like I think a lot of the VR comes from the headsets. Not too many people are sitting on desktops. A lot of kids might have a laptop or, they're working on a screen. But not too many people sitting on desktops clicking on cyber or spatial or it's such a shame because I feel like it's such a great. There's such a just walking around in your gallery and looking at all your art. It's like, look, shit. Like, if you ever had the opportunity to pitch an art show, and it's like, well, here, let me show you what the potential is. Why don't you just click on this link and go check out what I built? And then you got to get like someone who just has no bearing in this world to click on a link, walk around with an avatar, but to see the potential, like, here, let me just show you what your place could look like. Like, this is what a collection would look like. This is what, it's just, this wall would have my art. This wall over here would have, my photos, AI over here with digital screens. This over here could you also add a lot of VR work, art, VR functions into your art. Where I've seen enough where you're pointing it at your art and then, it might come to life or there's something going on the screen. Yeah, I don't know if I didn't have a question or nothing. I was just kind of like,
Well, the pieces that come to life, that's more augmented reality.
AR, excuse me.
Yeah, so that I've had immense positive feedback. And that's typically a huge selling point for the physical pieces. Literally, I have literally pointed out to someone, say, come look at this. The person's walked over to my piece and said, I want it. And they bought it, right? That's how fast it's happened. Like,
I was going to say, do people get a real, like, oh man, that's really cool.
It's like, I have to have this.
Really?
I that's what I get. It's like, I have to have this piece, and they don't care how much it is.
Do they?
It's a good thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like it's at it's. I know I've seen quite a few artists. I know Hudasaka is very big into the AR as well as I think Usapata would, wherever you point your phone, he's got a Palometa sitting there. And those guys do a lot of interesting things with AR as well, which I think brings another facet to the art as well, because you point your phone and, oh shit, that's really cool. And then it becomes a pretty cool topic of conversation and then a selling point. And then, like you said, people always want, really cool stuff that they haven't seen before.
Yeah, it's definitely, a lot of people want to have a conversational piece. I think that's a lot of people find that important. But then there's some people who are traditional collectors and they just want their traditional art, so there's the different side of that coin too.
Okay, so big question. We're probably about 2 hours, so I figure we'll get ready to start. If I don't know if you have time, you want to keep going, but we'll probably head to close in about 20 minutes. What for all the artists out there, for everyone watching, you have a lot of experience in physical. You've not only had the experience in physical and the art gallery world, right? And then creating physicals and then dealing with the physical collectors. But it seems like you've also now incorporated the NFT world, the digital world, augment AR, VR, and then not only all of that, you also have included now, which I believe you AI work as well. I think I've seen you animate. You've animated artworks as well. I think you animated the cigar boxes, if I'm correct.
Right.
So much going on, right? NFT sales. So you're not a foreigner to you're very familiar with people, which means you've seen his success in the space. You were here 2020-21, so you've probably seen a lot of these bigger artists. I often say VerseWorks, and then they got the trending column. You go to the trending column, you could see the top art sales in the last 30 days. And then it usually has about all the same names. You got Rafik, Beeple, Jack Butcher, a lot of these bigger names of these artists who've had tremendous success selling digital works. Here you are having tremendous success selling physical works. What's the perfect combination? That's what I'm trying to get at right now. Like in your mind, what's the perfect? Do you lean towards the NFT digital world? Do you lean towards the physical world? We had a guest on 2 weeks ago, and he was saying how digital. He was saying how it's been in the world for 30 years. A lot of galleries are closing because they're having difficulty selling physicals. With the introduction of the internet, everybody is kind of in control of their own art career now. You are sort of like that middleman, which collectors everywhere. All you have to do now is your marketing, right? You get your art in front of them, social media. What I know I threw a lot at you, but you have thoughts on any of that, like for other artists, like where should where does somebody even start? Like, do they go right to physicals? Do they mess around with the NFT world? What are your thoughts on all that? I mean, what do you tell your students?
Well, I think it's finding your niche and your style, and what do you have a passion for? Because your passion will translate into beautiful art, right? Whatever you really feel like you can do well, people will see it, and that's what people want, quality work, right? Trying to feed the market of what's trending, I think that's a sellout for a lot of people to do that. I think it's to stay true to yourself, right? Because the sincerity and the identity of your work that matches up with you, collectors fall in love with the artist. I think just as much as the artwork. I think that the artist and their work, you're selling your artwork, you're selling yourself too. So it's a full package. The NFT world, with how NFTs are, I mean, people just said the other day his NFT is worth $10,000 now that he sold for 69 million, or 10 million that he sold for 69 million. Now that's a crazy depreciation when you think about that. Artwork appreciates, it doesn't depreciate, right? I know that my work, the sales keep going up and the prices keep going up. And that's what artists should shoot for, not to hit the highest point and then have to start marking your prices down. So for artists, I think figure out what you're comfortable, what technique, what style, what medium you're good at. You can always convert your physical into digital. And now with 3D printing, you can easily convert your digital into physical. I don't think either one is going to go away. But I do think that there is going to be a value for handmade art versus computer made art. I think that it's going to become a point where people are going to be less likely to learn the tools and the techniques to make them the craftsmanship of the hand created art. You know, that's, to me, I think will become more valuable in the long run. Computers can simulate, but you can still find the mistakes. I have seen some artists who do their sketches and then they scan their sketches into AI, and then AI will reinterpret the piece. And then they've even programmed robots to paint the paintings for them. So they're pretty much directing AI, and they're directing robotic computers, you know, to do all the work, which I find very interesting. But at the same time, it just feels to me like it's losing that humanity. That more you give to the computer, the less you do yourself physically. You know, the part of creating the art is the joy of creating the artwork. And I think that would be a very sad thing for people to lose that ability.
Do you feel that with the I mean, what's your take on AI? The implementation of it. Is it a tool? Does it help? Is it going to hurt? Are we going to lose originality? What Chaz just said hello, and it's great to see you.
Hi, Jazz.
What are your thoughts on the implementation of? Well, we're seeing all this AI now take part. Yeah.
Well, AI is really good for workflow process. I like it for conceptualizing, and I do like to use it for sketching, and I interact with AI for concepts, and then I like to translate that into my physical art. I like using it with the animations. I think that's kind of, I like how it reinterprets, and I like directing it for storytelling. But a lot of the augmented reality that I have has 3D objects in there too. It's not just all AI. But I do see that it is useful for some things. And if artists can just learn to use it as a partner for the work, but not doing all the work, try to make sure you get your physical handprint in there somehow. Whether it's generating something with AI, taking it into Photoshop, changing it in Photoshop after AI has done what it's done. Now you go in and put your mark on that. That's how I tend to use AI when I do. I'll generate something, but then I go back in and I change it. I don't make it the complete piece that was made by AI because I find the mistakes. You know, AI does tend to make strange mistakes. If you let AI run wild, it'll do some really crazy kooky stuff that makes no sense. So as human beings, we still have that superior creativity. If you leave AI alone, it's not going to do anything. It still needs a human behind it to give it direction. And it's, you know, whether it's, I think we all have a degree of creativity. People who say, oh, I'm not creative. But if you give them the chance to be creative, they can be creative. I think AI has helped a lot of people who are also handicapped, who are given the ability to be creative through AI, through speech, or in prompts and stuff. So I don't dislike AI, but I don't like it when AI is used to the point where you're not doing anything with it to make it more human or more of your own style. I don't like it when people rip off other people's styles with AI. They literally type in another artist's style with a prompt, and you know it's a complete, like, I know that artist's work and that wasn't really right. You got to come up with your own style here.
I know what you mean. Yeah, just to put in, you know, X, Y, and Z painting like this. And searches art and then creates something from this stamp. To me, that's kind of cheating. Yeah, it's like there's not real. I'm a big person at originality. I want to see originality. I want to see creativity. The more I think the tech comes out, the more people get very dependent upon it. I feel like we lose, which is why I like, I think painting, right? Physically, straight from your hand. That's it's going to come straight from the human. All physicals, anything that you create, anything that you sculpt. A lot of this stuff is going to come from the human being, rather than, but it's interesting about how they're getting robots to paint, and next thing you know, they'll be implementing things and having them. But the one thing that I do agree with you with is they'll never have that creativity,
No, they can't. They can't. And everything they get AI does is based on human experience.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, you're never going to get that originality. You might get okay, this person's style, and give me this originality, and there might be originality in using it to maybe duplicate or copy someone's style, but there's never any originality. I feel like. I mean, I feel like I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, it's I know a lot of people. I think it's great as a tool, but at the end of the day, that you should have some say in that, maybe a piece in the manufacturing line of your artworks.
I also feel like it's really important for artists to be able to have the skill of whatever the skill they're promoting in their art. Can you do it if you don't have AI?
This is a good question. I got a good. This is good. You got students, right? They're younger.
Yeah.
They're probably more soaking up the technology. They probably see more, experience more, use it more, and then they come to you, and then here you are, very traditional, very physical. Do you ever see anything? I'm going to go vice versa with this. Do you ever see them using something where you're like, hey, come on, learn the physical. It's going to benefit you so much more. Or do you actually walk by them and they do something and you're like, ooh, to fill me in on what you did there. Like, you get a little bit of both. Like, how's that work?
Well, I teach the fundamental classes like 2D drawing and color theory. So they have to do stuff by hand.
Okay.
They have to.
Okay.
I teach painting. I get the canvases, we get the paints. They have to do it all by hand. So I definitely teach all the fundamentals, but I also teach, like I mentioned before, ethics in art and artificial intelligence. I teach animation. I teach Photoshop. And in these classes, I do show them how to do everything the traditional way with the tools, but then I show them how to add AI into it.
Okay.
So I know when they're using it and when they're not. I also teach a publishing class where we make a magazine. It's so funny when AI just came out. This is so funny. This is a magazine that's around 120 pages, and there's usually 4 to 8 of us working on it. And it's a lot of work for a class. We have to illustrate the stories, the poems, whatever the editorial team delivers to us. Each student illustrates and lays out the pages and InDesign and so on. So I told the kids, I said, okay, you can use AI, but you have to redraw it. If you're going to come up with an illustration with AI, fine, redraw it in Illustrator or redraw it in Photoshop. You can use it for a basis, but you cannot use the actual file generated by AI. And that's where I drew the line in the sand for the class.
How do they react to you pushing the physical stuff on them?
Well, it was funny that they got permission to use AI. Number one, that was a big shocker because the school at the time was very anti-AI. It was when AI, it was 2022, and AI was like, oh no, they can't use it. And I was like, they need to know it, because there's companies out there that are hiring people only if they know AI right now. You know, that's what's happening in the professional world. But when I told the student to rejoin, he's like, "Oh, I did that." So he admitted to using AI. He was using it before I gave him permission, which I thought was really interesting. But I was happy he admitted to using it. It was kind of funny. But then I have other students that are just like anti-AI.
Really?
Yeah, in my ethics and art and artificial intelligence class, I taught the students how to poison your artwork for AI because
What does that mean? Poison your artwork?
so basically AI scraping the web and building all the imagery off of, say you did a drawing of your hands with a specific watch and or something, you know, which has details. AI is looking for those details that's in the prompt, right? Okay. So it's scraping the web for that artwork that has that detail. So if you have the description on Instagram of what you posted of your art piece, and it can scrape that image. Well, when you poison it, there's a few programs out there. They only work on the PC that can scramble the pixels, and it adds strange little elements that make AI go crazy, and it turns the image into something else because it doesn't know how to interpret the image.
Really?
So it's almost like putting a watermark on the artwork too.
Yeah, really. So you could poison your artwork so that if AI scrapes it, it could glitch out the AI.
Exactly.
Really?
Yes.
That's interesting.
It's fun. It's actually fun.
Huh. So are
Here's
these
my syllabus?
Yeah, so sounds like a class I'd like to take. So how are these, so when you poison it, are these changes are they physically noticeable, or is it, you know, buried deep within the artwork to the point where it just messes with this is interesting.
Yes. To the human eye, it looks like noise.
Okay.
But when you zoom it in, you can see some weird patterning.
And then that causes the AI to have difficulty interpreting it.
Exactly.
No shit.
Yeah. But a watermark will do well too. But now you can open the photo with a watermark in Photoshop and say remove watermark, and it'll remove the watermark.
Yeah.
Right. So the scrambling so detailed that AI, you know, it's too general, does big passes.
Okay.
And it misses it.
Yeah, and I imagine that this stuff is only going to get smarter and smarter and smarter too.
Oh, right. I mean, when you think about 2021, when it came out, I was using Dream. I was using a program called Dreamscape on my phone in 2020, actually, with AI. And the images were horrific. It didn't know how to do a face. It didn't know how to do a body. Everything looked like half beast, half swoosh. In 2021, it could do a face, but not hands. Your hands would have 6 fingers, right? Or
right. That was the big thing. Yep. Yeah, the big thing was like,
right. Exactly.
Like, wait, is there 2 pinkies on that hand? Like, this is AI. Okay. All right. So, Trish, I'm coming to the top of the of your Instagram, and then I also showed your spatial off.
Thank you. Thank you for showing my work.
Yeah. So, you know, I didn't know if there was anything specific, but I did cover kind of like the gamut of everything. Is there anything specifically that you'd like to point attention to?
Well, I don't have this posted yet, but I am working on a project for America's 250th birthday. That's my next big project. I'm working with the Jersey City and the Department of Cultural Affairs. I got a grant for the project, and I'm basically creating augmented reality experiences of the Revolutionary War and key historic sightings in Jersey City. And I'm now possibly working with Morristown, where George Washington's headquarters was. And so that's my next big project. But I think what I'm going to be doing is I've talked to the people at Illust.space, and we're talking about having an artist call and making it a curated art show as well. So we're going to be including an art show into the project as well, because in July of 2026, Jersey City's hosting the World Cup, and there's going to be 150 ships coming through the Hudson River right there in front of the Statue of Liberty, like what happened in 1994 or 1996. I don't remember what year that was. There were all those ships that came in for the centennial. This is the quintennial, 250 years. So so that's my next big thing. As far as on my Instagram feed, I've just showed the 2 augmented reality projects there, as well as the piece that the second piece that just sold. So I have to make more work.
Yeah, you do good on the sales, Trish.
Thank you.
I'm impressed at the sales.
Thank you.
I try to, I'm a physical guy. I believe everybody should have physicals. It's kind of dipping into the NFT world, and a lot of people focus very much on the digitals. But I do believe that, if things slow down here, or, you're trying to catch some momentum, doesn't hurt to venture into the physical world as well. I think it's nice to be a part of both worlds. I think that's a nice formula combination. Okay, let's see, where are we? All right, I think we're at the top. Yeah, we're at the, hang on, let me bring up to the top, make sure we're at the top, because this is okay. Yep. All right. We didn't get well, you showed them off, but I have them up here as well. I wanted everybody to see the digital bags.
Oh, right.
But now we got a very clear shot.
And then you guys, anybody interested, just DM me. I respond very fast on Instagram, but I do respond also on X.
Hang on, Trish. Let's give them this. What's the best? So what is the best place where they can find you, reach out to you, contact you? Give them that information.
Trish Gia Art on Instagram.
Okay.
I'm on all the time, so that's probably the best place to DM me. I'll get back to you pretty fast. I do check on X, but I'm quicker with Instagram.
I agree. I concur. She does respond on IG a lot quicker than X. That's a fact. Also, you have a link tree here on your X. Do you want to talk about any of these links, or where your link tree will take them?
Linktree has my personal website, which has all the different bag animation designs on my shop. And it also has my spatial link. I believe my OpenSea is there, as well as my Rarible link. And then I have all my social media links are there as well. Some interviews and stuff like that from YouTube and things like that.
Okay. Just give me, is there anything that we didn't show them, or anything that you'd like to cover before we start calling it a night?
I think we covered a lot.
Okay. Give me 1 second just to go over this real quick. All right, guys. So this is her IG, Trish Gia Art. She responds here close. She responds here. This is where she responds very fast. There is no, it's not on here. On her X, there is a Linktree link as well. This is her X, Trish Gia Art also. And then
I'll add it to my Instagram, my Linktree.
It is on Instagram?
No, I'll update it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely. Because this Instagram, this Linktree link, not only brings you to all of her socials, but it also brings you to, do you have a YouTube, Trish?
Yes.
Okay, so
I have that on there too.
it brings you to her YouTube. This is her YouTube. And then also her artist profile, which brings you to her site. And then on her site, this is trishgia.art. About it has her sculptures on here as well as her digital and physical paintings. And then there's links to the VR world. And then also Shop by Trisha is where you could see these bags, which is what caught my attention. She also has her spatial galleries, which are right here. I have both up right here. See, spatial does it right. You hit the open world button, and it only opens to the window as big. It doesn't just take over the whole screen. That's the right way of doing it. Usually I hit that open button, and it knocks out the whole screen. Okay, I think this is all the links. I think that covers everything. So I'm going to reset this back to normal. I'm going to leave this up because we're going to, I don't know if you want to take a second to introduce your friend.
This is Oscar Wilde.
Is Oscar wild?
He is a good boy. He can get wild though sometimes. He's like, Mommy. He's a sweetie.
Okay, I'm going to move this back. Is it only just Oscar or are there others?
No, this is just Oscar.
Okay.
Just Oscar.
Let's see. You got the Sony back. We're all good to go. Okay, awesome. All right. Pretty good show. Pretty good coverage. Excellent show, actually. Okay. Trish, pretty decent show. Pretty long show. Let's see where we're at. About 2.5 hours.
That's good. I spoke to the provost before coming, before we met, and he wants a link to if you have a recording,
Yeah.
the school wants it just to have.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll probably share it with Sam from the Fine Arts Ledger and Rob from Illustat's Place, just so they say, I'm plugging you guys.
So I got the links on YouTube, links on X. I could get you all of those as soon as we wrap.
Okay.
Also, I have the video files too, so I could get you those as well. All right. It's very good show. Before we say goodnight, before we wave goodbye to everybody and say goodnight, we always ask the guests to leave all the artists out there taking a peek at the show. Maybe some inspirational words, maybe some thoughts. I mean, you said so many inspirational and educational. There's a lot of alpha already. But, if there's any advice you could give any artists out there, maybe artists that are having trouble making sales or, just anything that you could say, maybe first thing comes to your mind, a little inspiration for everybody out there. Why don't you take it from there?
I think it's really important to set your intention for yourself and stay true to yourself with your art and enjoy being creative. And the work will show when it's ready to show. Like your art will become part of you through how you're creating and just stay true to yourself.
All right. Don't sell out is the message I'm getting.
Yes, exactly.
It's interesting what you said before when you said don't create art to don't create art for the. I almost felt like you were saying don't create art don't follow the trending or don't create art for the algorithm. You see something doing good, so I'm going to do that too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
To me that's a sellout. But
every artist has their own, I think, originality. We all have, where somehow we have the ability to create. We get these visions, and then I think we see something, and we're like, oh, shit, wait, why don't I try this instead? And next thing you know, now I feel like your vision gets corrupted because, you're trying to be someone else.
yeah.
Trish, all right, so I want to say, wait, hang on. We got one last question, which is, I'll say thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Mark.
Yeah,
thank you so much. It's been a really fun time talking with you tonight.
Yeah, it was a blast. Who would imagine all of this came from just looking at a pocketbook and it's just sitting there? I'm like, That's pretty cool. You should come on the show and talk about those. But look, how much more, so much more we got to learn about you. And it's just a very, not only that, but an art teacher. And so very knowledgeable show. Very, so a lot of golden nuggets if people were to watch. And also a lot of experience. One last question, Trish, which is we always ask a guest to end on a song. So, by any chance, you have a song that you might want to end the show on?
Well, it is a Monday,
Okay.
but the Monday song I usually sing, I wouldn't end on. I drawing a blank.
Maybe something that comes to mind. I'll tell you what. We got
I
about.
like Gorillas.
Okay.
The band Gorillas.
You got a track by them that
I have to look it up.
I'll tell you what. I need about 2.5, 3 minutes to close the show. In that time, you want to maybe shoot me a link to a song that
Okay.
yeah.
Where do I do that?
On X. Just send it on X.
Okay.
All right. All right, so I'm going to close up. I'm going to close the song. I just want to thank you once again for your time, your knowledge, your expertise, and then spending the time with us. Show went a little over, but doesn't hurt. I think it was a great show from beginning to end and a really fast 2.5 hours. So I appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everybody.
I'll see you in about 2 minutes. Hang on.
Okay.
And then we'll get you to say goodbye to everybody. Okay. Screen. There we go. All right. So that was Trish. You guys got a chance to meet her. Who would have thought so much would have come from a little awesome pocketbook that just sitting there grabbed my attention? I'm like, that thing's pretty cool. You make those? Yeah, those are my NFTs. Like, really? And then look, what a great show. So lots of great information in tonight's show. I know I learned a lot. So if I learned a lot, I know everybody else learns a lot. On that note, rest of the week, a couple things. So we do not have a date on the Best of the Best exhibition yet. I will be on top of that. I will let you guys know. We are working on getting those things printed and hung. And then I will let you know the exact date that we're going to have the exhibition. Number 2, tomorrow, Spaces, 9 to 11. My co-hosts, Sketch and Catalina. I'll see them tomorrow. Link by Art Space. So that's always a good space on Tuesday mornings. Wednesday, I do not think there is anything on Wednesday. I don't think we have a show. I think we're empty this week. Maybe I might do an on-location show. I have a show that I have to replay with Carlo for Bushwick. So maybe we'll do, I don't know if I'm prepared for that. We'll see. Maybe I'll run that on Wednesday. If not, that'll eventually be a Wednesday. I also got to talk to Dave. I think he wanted to do a community show. So I got to catch up with him and figure that out as well. Friday, end of this week, I think we have Luco. I have to reach out to him, make sure that Luco's coming on. So don't quote me on that, but I just got to confirm with him. But this is supposed to be his date. Also, TGIF on Friday, 1 p.m. Like usual, we'll see everybody with my co-hosts, Josh and Ghost. Well, we never know. Sometimes Chaz actually ends up being a co-host. Sketch, whoever's in there first. On that note, pretty quiet week. I want to wish everybody, I hope everybody had a great Art Basel. I know you all guys are all returning and getting back from there. So looking forward to seeing all the pictures and seeing everything online. I'll keep everybody posted when it comes to the exhibition. And on that note, guys, I want to say goodnight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And get out there. Have a wonderful Monday night. And I appreciate y'all for being a part of the show. We're going to go over to the computer now, and we're going to say goodnight to all you guys. We'll get Trish to say goodnight one last time, and then we'll say goodnight to everybody who joined the show. All right, let's bring her back on just to say goodnight. Guest. There we go. All right, Trish, you're back on screen, so just be aware.
Okay.
I'm gonna.
I sent you a black keys.
Excellent, excellent, excellent.
Busted.
Gonna do double. Yeah, we got
Eddie
that.
Soul. That's what I sent.
Okay, awesome. All right. Let's just say goodnight to everybody real quick. We'll do an around the horn thing. Let me check out. Let me check out. Let's see. We got Twitch. Quiet on Twitch. Probably quiet on YouTube tonight too. Let me get over to Facebook. All right, Big Money. Good to see you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for coming into the show. Thank you for tuning in. Hammer, see you out there. Terry, see you guys out there. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being part of the show. We'll jump over to IG next. JB Jenkins, 97. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being part of the show. Mariana, good to see you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being part of the show. Safari, Kenya. Pixie Gallery, Pixie Galaxy. Excuse me, Galaxy. Good to see you. Good for joining. Thank you for being part of the show. Nalia, good to see you. Roya, Roya's, yeah, I got it right. Roya Saish, good to see you. Nestarian, good to see you. Jet Set Metal, good to see you guys. Thank you for tuning. Thank you for joining in. And then last but not least, we'll get over here to X. Goalie, Hito, Chaz, good to see you guys. Thank you for tuning. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being part of the show. And thank you for tuning in. On that note, guys, we're going to say goodnight. We're going to bring up Trish's song, and we're going to play that out. And at the same time, Trish, last chance to say goodnight to everybody.
Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate this, our talk tonight, and thank you for listening and watching and checking out my art.
All right.
Have a happy holidays.
Yes, that's true. Thank you very much. We almost forgot. Guys, December's a big month. Have a great holiday. On that note, I'm going to play out. Let's bring this track up. Heavy Soul, yes?
Yes.
Okay, let's see.
My go-to band.
Let's see, the Black Keys, Heavy Soul. Perfect. Okay, there you are. All right. On that note, let's play out, and we'll bring up the rest. Skip. Yeah, Heavy Soul. Okay, very good. All right, guys. See you in the next one. Till then.
Bye.
Let's bring up your art later. There we go.
Hear her calling, come to me.
Does the link work?
Yes, it's playing right now. We're playing it.
Go to the valley, climb the hill, whatever it takes, darling. You know I will. Hey, now, darling, you hear me so, darling. 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 You hear her calling, hurry home. Been so long since I've been gone. I won't get tired, won't go astray. I hear her calling, call my name, hey, my darling. You hear me so, darling. You hear me so, darling. You hear me so, darling. You hear me so. Just my color, just my kind. Your heavy soul next to me, heart's on fire. Get no sleep, drive all night. No relief, my darling. You hear me so, 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 darling. You hear me so.
And that was a damn good show. We'll see all you guys on the next one. Till then, have a great night. Peace.